In this video, we are going to convert between decimals, fractions, and percents. Let's start with this first example here. We have 0.03. Whenever given a decimal, it's usually easier to go ahead and convert it into a fraction first. In order to do that, we're going to look at what decimal place our decimal actually finishes in. In this case, it's in our hundredths place, and the value we're given is 3, which means our fraction is 3/100ths. Converting this to a percent is actually very easy. We start with our decimal value, and really all we're doing is multiplying it by 100. When we multiply by a power of 10, we're only moving decimal places. If we're multiplying by 100, which is 10 to the second power, we're moving 2 places, which means our percent in this case will end up being 3%. Let's take a look at the second example. In this case, we're given a percent. To convert from the percent into a decimal, we actually have the reverse of what we just did. Instead of multiplying by 100, we're now going to divide by 100. When we divide by 100, we're dividing by a power of 10 once again, and it's 10 to the second power, which means we are moving our decimal 2 spots to the left this time. Once, twice, leaving us with 0.27. To convert this to a fraction, we must remember that percent means out of 100. Out of 100 means that our denominator is 100, and our numerator will stay. If this fraction could be simplified, obviously we would have to do so at this point. This fraction, however, has a numerator and a denominator that are relatively prime, meaning they do not have a common factor other than 1. Let's take a look at example 3. We have 9/11ths. In order to convert a fraction to a decimal, you have to recognize that fraction is nothing more than division. The numerator of the top number is always the piece that goes inside, and your denominator is always the piece that goes outside the house. Treat this as if it were a normal division problem. 11 doesn't go into 9, so we add decimal points and our 0, and continue the problem out. This is going to go in 8 times, leaving us with the remainder of 2. We continue, 11 goes into 20 once, leaving us with the remainder of 9. If we throw another 0 on there, we have ourselves a pattern that will repeat itself. Thus, as a decimal, 9/11ths is equal to 0.81 repeating. If we were to go ahead and convert this to a percent, it's just like the other problems. We start with our decimal, we multiply by 100, meaning we move our decimal 2 spots to the right. But this provides an interesting situation for us. That 81 is repeating itself in a pattern. We are going to put another set of 81 after the decimal with our bar notation to indicate that this does repeat itself. That is our percent representation of 9/11ths. Let's continue to example 4. Once again, we are going to convert a decimal over to both a percent and a fraction. Let's start with the percent this time. Just like before, to go from a decimal to a percent, we are dividing by 100. I'm sorry, we are multiplying by 100. Therefore, we're moving our decimal 2 times to the right, leaving us with 0.071%. Now to review, 0.071% means we actually have less than 1 part out of 100. That's actually a very small amount. Let's talk about a fraction now. Once again, we count how many decimal places we go out in our decimal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places, which means tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, and 100,000ths. That means we have 71 100,000ths. And of course, if we could simplify that, we would. In this case, once again, our numerator and denominator are relatively prime. Hope this helps you review for your fractions, decimals, and percents quiz on Monday. Next video, we will talk about ordering and comparing fractions, decimals, and percents.